So I want to welcome Dr. Wallach to the program today. I'll let him speak for a couple minutes on some of the things he wants to mention. And then I've got a few headlines from the news I want to talk about. And then I want to get into the topic of the today. And today's topic is going to be on liver disease. Welcome to the Health and Wellness Hour with Dr. Joel Wallach and pharmacist Keith Abell. They believe when it comes to nutrition and supplementation, the modern medical system has failed you, that our body is divinely designed to repair itself given the correct foundation of nutrients. With a combined 85 years experience in health, nutrition, and supplementation, they bring a unique perspective on how to manage disease and improve one's health. Over the next hour, Dr. Wallach and pharmacist Keith will discuss health and wellness topics seen in the news. They'll discuss trends in nutrition and supplementation and how you can take control of your own health and your future. Let's get on with the show.
I do want to talk briefly about diabetes today. Diabetes, of course, we spend each year in America alone to just treat diabetes symptoms, $342 billion a year. $342 billion a year just to treat the symptoms of diabetes. There's type 1, which is a birth defect. It's not a genetic or autoimmune birth defect. It's a birth defect because mama was missing something when the formation of insulin was taking place, and the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans of the pancreas. And so that didn't happen because mama was missing stuff when that development was taking place. So the baby's born with, quote, type 1 diabetes. That makes up about less than 2% of the total diabetic population. The diabetic population of type 2 diabetes, as opposed to type 1, which is that birth defect, is called diabetes mellitus. And that's the classic type 2 diabetes that everybody knows about, and sugar and all that kind of stuff. But then there's another type of diabetes called diabetes insipidus, and it has nothing to do with type 1 or type 2. It's not a sugar issue, and diabetes insipidus is actually a neuralgia kind of thing. It could be associated with MS, multiple sclerosis. It could be associated with osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. And diabetes insipidus has similar symptoms to type 1 and type 2 diabetes in that people get thirsty, they get dehydrated, and they produce a lot of urine. In type 1 and type 2 diabetes, the urine production doubles over the normal. In an adult, it might be a quart of urine a day is normal. So then it goes up to 2 quarts a day for type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. But diabetes insipidus, it could go to 20 quarts a day, and you can watch it. You'll die of dehydration if you're not just drinking constantly. So if you're drinking water constantly and you're testing yourself either for sugar in your urine or blood sugar stuff, and you don't see diabetes, well, how come you have the symptoms of diabetes mellitus? Well, that's called diabetes insipidus, okay? And so I just want everybody to be alerted to that there's essentially 3 types of diabetes. Diabetes type 1, which is a birth defect, and you never want to cold turkey off your medication. And of course, we do have the healthy blood sugar pack. If you have other issues, you can get the healthy brain and heart pack and throw the sweeties in there. You can go to a pharmacy without a prescription, get the test strips to stick your finger, and also the test strips to dip in your urine sample to see if you have sugar in there. And then there's another little factor here called reactive hypoglycemia. When people have deficiencies of those nutrients that are required to have healthy function of the beta cells, the islets of Langerhans to produce insulin, when they're missing that kind of stuff, they get what's called reactive hypoglycemia. You eat a big meal, and a half hour later, an hour later, you're falling asleep on the couch watching TV. Well, that happens when you're driving too. And I've seen so many people die because they went and they had a nice big meal, and they're driving home and they fall asleep and cross the center line, do a head-on crash and kill themselves, and the other guy coming the other direction. And this is all due to just simple nutritional deficiencies. So I urge everybody to become an expert in diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, and diabetes insipidus. And again, it's costing us $342 billion a year just to treat type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So we can save that money, $342 billion a year, just to treat symptoms, not to cure it, just to treat symptoms. Okay, over to you, pharmacist Keith.
Well, thank you, Dr. Wallach. I really appreciate that. In one of the articles I wanted to talk about this morning, talks about diabetes. Anti-diabetes drugs, the cost of anti-diabetes drugs is keeping patients away from diabetes treatment. The high out-of-pocket costs for medications used by patients with diabetes are tied to reduced use of these drugs and ultimately worse clinical outcomes, according to two separate studies. One study looked at the insurance records of more than 70,000 patients with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease who were already on metformin. And what they found in this study was that when they added the more effective, more modern drugs to the regimen, the folks that couldn't afford the drugs was about 21% of the folks, and they couldn't afford the drugs, and their diabetes just kept getting worse and worse. And it says the more comorbidities the patients have, the greater the strength of the evidence is on using these new drugs. About 30 million Americans have type 2 diabetes. And if every single one of these patients went on the newer, more effective drugs, it would bankrupt the U.S. healthcare system. So they're trying to figure out what to do about it. And I think Dr. Wallach has the, he's been saying for years what you need to do about it. You need to work on it from the other end of the spectrum, not treating the symptom of diabetes, but let's work on how to get rid of the diabetes.
And metformin I don't like metformin because if you're eating gluten, you're not going to be able to absorb it. The doctors say, oh, you must have type 1. Well, I'm 65 years old. I thought you were supposed to be born with that one. Well, you got type 1 because you're not responding to the metformin. I think that's why so many doctors use metformin first as a treatment, because they know most people are not going to respond to it because they're eating gluten. And so they call them a type 1, and they make them come in every month to test their blood sugar, and they bill the insurance company. Right. They put them on, they put them on an injectable insulin, and they bill the insurance company. And so it's they're treating diabetes patients as a dairy cow.
Right. And Dr. Wallach's developed a blood sugar pack to help with getting the blood sugar under control. But if we're looking at this specific population here that can't even afford the prescription drugs, there are less expensive ways to do it. It's not going to be effective as quickly as giving the blood sugar pack, but you can get your customers on either the Ultimate Tangy Tangerine or the Ultra Body Toddy, add the Slender FX Sweeties to that, and then the Prohobo Omegas. And that's going to be the best way to help these patients get their diabetes under control. So a couple other things in the news is we're in that post-pandemic period now, and they said that more than 2/3 of the patients who had COVID are reporting moderate fatigue. 21%, 22% are reporting severe fatigue. And another 41% are reporting that they're having moderate sleep disturbances and insomnia. It seems to be more prevalent in COVID patients who had obesity, had other mood disorders prior to COVID, and seems to be higher among the Black population. But there's a lot going on here. COVID has done a lot of damage, and especially into the immune system. So it's going to take a lot to repair that. And if you're not getting all those 90 essential nutrients, it's going to take a long time.
Well, they'll save a lot of money if they just get off of gluten, because they'll then be able to absorb the nutrients, and they'll heal faster, more completely. And so when you look at the people who have long COVID, as they call it, where they have these, long-term after effects of the acute disease, these are people who eat gluten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're eating gluten when they sleep. Okay, they drink gluten on Friday nights and so forth. And so this is not difficult, but people do have to change their ways, otherwise they pay the price.
Yeah, and a lot of the, I know this from the hospital, the long-term care facility. A lot of the doctors are just giving these patients, because senior patients, you can't give them sleeping medications, and they're just giving them melatonin by itself. I mean, melatonin's effective, but Dr. Wally's company has developed a melatonin product that's called Sleep Bees. That's not just melatonin. It's got other herbs and nutrients in it to go along with the melatonin to help support the body's ability to get some rest there. So check out the Sleep Bees product if you've got a client that's suffering from some long-term COVID disorders. Of course, you want to get them on the 90, and if they can't afford, the healthy heart pack or bone and joint pack or whatever it is that they need, at least get them started on that ultra body toddy or the original ultimate tangy tangerine liquid. The tangy tangerine is not the most tasty thing in the world, but it is it's going to get all those essential nutrients in there, especially if you add the omegas to that. Okay, so talking about omegas, a new study just came out, and I just love this because every other week, one study will say omegas do absolutely nothing. Another week, it'll say omegas do wonderful things. And this topic is what actually got my attention as a pharmacist way back. I've told you guys the story before of the customer coming into the store wanting to know how much omega-3 to take to help control their cholesterol. And it was in the research for that customer that I found just how untruthful some of these pharmaceutical companies are when they try to prove a natural product doesn't work. And it continues to go on. But this one's funny because in that story that I did earlier, with that customer way back then, all these studies were saying omega-3s did all these wonderful things. And in a study that was published in one of the primary journals said it did nothing. And, pharmacy professor told us to look at three things: who funded the study, what do they stand to gain or lose, and then what did they do to get the results they got. And in that case, the study was funded by one of the statin companies. So they stand to gain or lose statin drug sales. And what they did is they gave everybody in their study one omega-3 fatty acid, 1,000 milligrams. And all the other studies were given 6,000 to 9,000 milligrams. Well, what I find funny on this one, the headline says omega-3 fatty acids may reduce blood pressure. An omega-3 fatty acid daily intake of 3 grams. So right there, that tells me they were hoping this was going to fail, but it backfired on them, because just at 3 grams a day, it showed a reduction in high blood pressure. I'm trying to zoom down to the thing. 71. They looked at 71 trials, 4,973 patients, and all the patients were 18 years or older. And it showed that just taking the 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acids with both DHA and EPA in them, it lowered the blood pressure on these patients. I'm trying to find the amount, but I did not copy that in here. But anyhow, so they're now recommending omega-3 fatty acids to patients with blood pressure issues. And this comes from a cardiologist. And he even says in his article that he wasn't expecting the results that he got.
It also reduces the risk of blood clots too.
Right.
In the brain and the lungs and everywhere else. So it's really, I take 3 of our EFAs twice a day. I take 3 of our EF pluses twice a day. And then if I'm going to do something really, really strenuous, I add to it 3 of our Prohoba omegas. And so I'm kind of, I'm 83 years old and I don't want to have any blood clots. I don't want to have any of those things. And so it's worth it to me to spend an extra $2, a week. Mm-hmm. It's only like 25 cents a day.
All right. So I want to jump over to talking about the liver a little bit now. I told you all about an article that I read that said there's a link between high fructose corn syrup and fatty liver disease. And the article actually came out on March 7th. It was published in Molecular Nutrition and Food Research. But the article says high intake of fructose may increase the risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, in which too much fat is stored in the liver cells. The high fructose corn syrup is one of the most common sweeteners in the food industry and is used to sweeten many products, despite the scientific evidence that it is associated with metabolic disorders that are a risk factor of cardiovascular disease. Researchers found that consuming high fructose corn syrup diets for long periods of time can lead to deterioration of the layer of cells that creates the intestinal barrier that prevents bacteria and toxins from leaking into the bloodstream and affecting the liver. Fatty liver disease can lead to liver inflammation and liver damage, resulting in non-alcoholic
Fatty liver.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. More aggressive disease that in turn can progress into scarring of the liver and cirrhosis, liver cancer, and even liver failure. Severe fatty liver disease and liver tumors from the gut barrier deterioration created by excessive fructose intake can be prevented. And of course, they say with medications. It can be prevented by getting rid of the high fructose corn syrup. Why do we want to keep taking in the bad stuff and taking medicine? That part didn't make any sense to me. And the next article I came across, which is from November 2021, in pill or food form, healthy fatty acids reduce liver fat. For patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease who supplement their diets with polyunsaturated fatty acids, we're talking about the omegas 3, 6, and 9s, liver and metabolic parameters improve. Results of systemic review and meta-analysis suggest. Data from randomized clinical trials show that for participants with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease who use the omega supplements with or without additional dietary interventions, the hepatic stenosis, lobular inflammation, both decreased. In one study, fibrosis decreased. There were also improvements in liver enzyme levels. And this is from Johns Hopkins University. And this next paragraph I really like. Since there's no effective medical therapy for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, weight loss through lifestyle medication becomes the most important focused intervention for patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. However, the majority of patients fail to achieve or to maintain weight loss for long-term therapy. Therefore, dietary intervention and supplementation might help reduce the prevalence of fatty acid liver disease progression and stenosis and liver cirrhosis. So basically, they're admitting there is no therapy for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that omega-3 fatty acids are really your only answer. That and proper diet and exercise.
Yeah, and taking the 90 essential nutrients, the liver does an enormous amount of things. It does like 50 different things, literally 50 different things, and they're all biochemical. And so it makes bile to help you absorb the EFAs, the omega-3s, and fat-soluble vitamins and all that kind of stuff. And so the good Lord put the gallbladder in there for a reason. And when doctors say, well, we're in here getting the appendix out, we'll just take their gallbladder out so I don't have to deal with that later on. Well, that's a crime, okay? And so that's why we came up with the gallbladder in a bottle called Ultimate Enzymes. We actually go to the slaughterhouse, we get the gallbladders from all the cattle that they kill, and we take the bile out and dry it, and we put it into the Ultimate Enzymes. We call it the gallbladder in a bottle. And you want to be taking, depending on your body weight, you're a little kid, you take one, say 5 or 10 minutes for each meal with some water. You're a teenager, you can take 2 before each meal. And then when you get to be an adult, you can take 2 before each meal. Unless you have something going on with your liver negative, you can take 3, 5 or 10 minutes for each meal. Makes a huge difference when you're starting to absorb the good fats, the EFAs, EFA pluses, the projoba omegas. You're absorbing the fat-soluble vitamins. That's what the gallbladder was meant for, to fill up with bile. And then when you have a meal, it squeezes a couple of ounces of bile into your intestine to help you absorb all that stuff. There's a purpose for it.
Yep. And another thing too, we talk about diabetes all the time. And one of the risks that pharmacists and other medical professionals face when we're working with our diabetes patients is that when they take that insulin shot or take that diabetic medication, that their blood sugar drops too fast. And that's what they call hypoglycemia. The blood sugar is too low, and
Mhm.
that can be a dangerous thing. And what they're now, this is from an article from February 2022. If we have a patient now that seems to have problems with hypoglycemia, even though they're a diabetic, that they're saying the doctors need to consider looking at fatty liver disease as part of that problem. And there actually is a screening test they can do now to find out if a person has fatty liver disease. Without going in there and biopsying and that type of thing. So there's ways of diagnosing that disease. So if you have any of your family members that have diabetes and they do suffer from bouts of hypoglycemia, and they're not going to listen to you about the nutrient programs, at least get them to go to their doctor and have their liver checked for fatty liver disease, because that could be what's behind the wild drops in their blood sugar levels.
There you go.
Now, the reason why I brought up all this stuff about the liver is because, I've been concerned about it for a while now, because as of now, there are 80 million Americans that have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and very few people are even aware that they have it. So 80 million people have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And, fatty liver disease was always associated with alcoholism. So it has a bad stigma behind it. When people say that they have cirrhosis of the liver, people, others automatically think they must be an alcoholic, and we didn't even know it. And that's not really true. Our American diet now for the last probably 30 years has been full of high fructose corn syrup. I mean, when I was a kid and you drank a Coca-Cola, that Coca-Cola was made from sugar, cane sugar, which is bad enough, but it wasn't made from high fructose corn syrup. And it's this high fructose corn syrup that's the culprit here, that has just made these diseases just skyrocket. A friend of mine came to me. His mother has what's called primary biliary cholangitis, which in the liver, the liver makes the bile, and then that bile is stored in your gallbladder, and it helps digest the fat soluble vitamins and get rid of other fats in your digestive tract. And what this primary biliary cholangitis is those ducts in the liver that are creating the bile are inflamed, and they get to the point where they eventually die, get blocked and die. It slowly deteriorates. And just like that other article that I came across said, there's no medical intervention in reversing this particular disease. Once somebody has been diagnosed with it, they tell them they have anywhere from 5 to 25 years of life left, depending on the severity of the disease. And that's what I wanted to bring up with Dr. Wallach, because I know the body can repair itself. I mean, God designed our body to do that. And the liver, one of its functions is to get toxins out of your body. So this disease is caused by either some type of toxin getting in there and destroying those biliary ducts, or it can be caused by a bacterial infection destroying those biliary ducts, or a viral infection. That's really the only three things that do it. And I just wanted Dr. Wallach today to talk a little bit about liver health and what people with the fatty liver disease should be doing, and what someone with this type of disease, which is according to the medical system uncurable, what they should be able to do for that, Dr. Wallach.
Yeah. Well, the liver is wonderful, and it has so many uncurable diseases that are curable. The liver has
uncurable means medicine won't cure
it. That's correct. The liver has enormous capacity to heal itself, and it has enormous functions. And when people were alcoholics, they would blame fatty liver and all that kind of stuff on the alcohol. It wasn't the alcohol. It was the bad diet that people were on who were alcoholics. They were on a bad diet. It wasn't just drinking alcohol, but they were on a bad diet, and that's why they got fatty liver. And again, it's one of those things where you clean up the diet: no fried foods, no processed meats, no salami, bologna, pepperoni, jerky, no bacon, no ham. All that stuff's got to go. And then no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go, because the carbonation neutralizes stomach acid, so you cannot efficiently digest food and also absorb minerals. So you really need the stomach acid. And this means you also have to take salt. Sodium chloride is one of the most essential 2 nutrients we need other than oxygen and water. Okay, it has multiple functions in the body, including making stomach acid and keeping the balance of pressure, in all your organs and blood vessels and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we have the pink Himalayan salt. I take a half a teaspoon with that. I had that this morning with my breakfast. Put it on my eggs and my rice and a little piece of steak I had left over from last night. And then you also want to make sure that the liver is getting the 90 essential nutrients. And I like the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. And so, I'm 83 years old. Most people think I'm in my 50s when they look at me. And I take the 2 Healthy Brain and Heart Packs for a month, the full dose for everything twice a day. And I throw in the MSM because there's a lot of connective tissue in the liver, holding the lobes of the liver together. All the tubes and the walls of the gallbladder are made from connective tissue, smooth muscle and connective tissue. So you need that nutrition. Okay, that's the MSM. It also helps with the valves in the heart. Okay, so whatever's good for the heart is good for the liver. Whatever's good for the liver is good for the heart. So you're getting a twofer there. And also you want some very high quality protein. And again, I like red meat. I like cheese. And one thing I want to say here, because I think I passed over too fast, is that you need to make sure that you're not avoiding the good fats. Your liver requires good fat. Okay, so you do not want to avoid dairy. You do not want to avoid cheese. You do not want to avoid those kinds of things because your liver requires them. The first food that babies get, whether you're an elephant or a wombat or a human being, is milk. Okay, so milk, butter, cheese are good for you. It helps you make the brain, the spinal cord, peripheral nerves. And so you really, really need the high quality protein. You need the high quality fats that are found in dairy. And so anybody who says, well, I'm dairy free. Well, why'd you do that? Well, because I didn't want the cholesterol. Well, you're going to wind up with something terrible here down the line. And so you do need to make sure that you stick on some cheese, use butter, don't use margarine. Margarine kills. And so, it causes all kinds of inflammation, including it contributes to liver cirrhosis and gallbladder injury and all that kind of stuff. So it's important that you eat all the good stuff, but you still have to take the essential factors because you cannot guarantee you're going to get them all in food. Food, including vegetables and fruit, do not manufacture minerals. Now, fruits and vegetables can manufacture vitamins, but not minerals. Nutritional minerals occur in veins like gold and silver. They do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. So just eating well isn't good enough. I don't care how well you eat. I don't care how much money you spend. You can't use an air fryer because air frying is just as bad as deep fat frying, just as bad. And so it's just a more technological way to kill yourself. And of course, it contributes to liver disease. Anytime you fry, air frying or deep frying, you're actually specifically damaging the liver and the blood vessels and the brain. And so this is why we rank 54th in the world when it comes to our life expectancy. There's 53 other countries whose peoples live longer than us. They're primarily Asian countries. And just because they live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables. And when they start adding foods that are cooked and prepared like they do in Europe and in Western populations, that's when these Asian communities get in trouble. They can be one family in a city, or it could be the entire city, depending on what restaurants are there and so on. And so you have to pay attention to those details. You'll add 25 to 50 healthy years of your life. There's a gal by the name of Johanna Mazibuko from South Africa. She, May 11th of this year, she just turned 128. She was born in 1894, May 11th. And she was born in a little dairy farm. and they grew corn for the dairy cows. And so her mom and she and dad and so forth got corn and dairy, and they didn't grow wheat or anything like that. And so that's why she's 128 years old. She's the oldest living person currently right now in the world. So I researched her very heavily, and it makes sense why she's 128, because she predominantly ate corn and dairy as she grew up in her middle-aged life. Okay,
So to summarize what a person needs to do, we need to be on the healthy brain and heart pack based on body weight. And if their body weight dictates they're only going to get one brain and heart pack, to add an extra bottle of selenium, because we need the extra selenium for this disease.
It's our selenium with the 5 cofactors. Don't just run to Walgreens and 5 bottles of selenium, because it won't do.
Add an extra, I would put 2 extra bottles of omega fatty acids from the jojoba line. And the other thing I would add is the Z radical, because there is an inflammation component to this disease. So if we can up that ORAC value, oxygen reactive, I can't remember what it's called now. It's a measurement of how much antioxidant value foods have. So I would add the Z radical to it, because that's one of the highest ORAC value products that we have. And put things like blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and strawberries into the diet, because those are also very high in the oxygen reactive values.
And that's where our Himalayan goji comes in. I like to kind of alternate that once in a while with the Z radical. I probably take a Z radical 75% of the time, Himalayan goji the other 25% of the time. And we have a wonderful Himalayan goji, and we have our Z radical. There's nothing like it on the market when it comes to, I think it's got like 9 different seaweeds, all the minerals from the ocean and everything. And it's really, really, with the berries and everything, it's quite tasty.
I forget about that goji product all the time. And that was actually one of the companies that I was involved with prior to Longevity because of that product. It's just that I completely forgot about that over the years. Longevity bought them out a few years back. So I need to go back to looking into that, because that is a very good product.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It was good enough that I could put my pharmacist name behind. That's why I joined that company years ago.
Yeah, and of course you can put it into the Christmas stockings of the kids. You can put it on the table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the kids. That Himalayan goji, instead of just orange juice or something like that. It's really Himalayan goji and Z radical are two great liquid nutritional sources, particularly for kids, because they taste good, and it just has
they
an
both
enormous
taste very good. Yeah, that was the other reason why I joined that company, because some of these products, some of these companies had, you just could not stand the taste. And it's like, if you only have one product that's a winner of a product and it tastes bad, you're not going to have a customer very long. That's part of the reason why I left them, and it also had to do with the compensation plan, so forth. But that's why I left them many years ago, and finally ended up with Doc, and now I have those products. In fact, there's like 4 or 5 other companies that Doc's company bought out that I had been involved with at one time or another. So
yeah, you had good taste when it came to companies.
Well, my goal was, when I was looking for a company whose products I wanted to represent, is first they had to be something that was consumable, so people buy it, month after month. Second, it had to be something that I could stand behind with my pharmacist credentials, and that eliminated a lot of companies. I mean, there was one company where they had some really good organic products that I liked, but their entire message was that you have to, they had the alkaline. It was all about alkaline. Even though I liked some of their products, I couldn't represent the company because I can't represent that message. And then the third thing was they had to be a fair compensation plan where anybody that would buy the products had an ability to get a thank you check. And a lot of the companies really did not have that that feature. And that's one of the big things with this company. We talk about all these products every week, and it's very easy to get yourself a thank you check by just referring people to some of these things. This time of year, we're going to hit 110 degrees here in Kentucky in our heat index today. And I've heard all the way up into Chicago and all the way up into Minneapolis, they're going to be in the 105 and above in their heat index today. Dallas, they're probably going to hit close to 120 in heat index. So we're facing a very hot summer coming up. A lot of sweating. A lot of people with outside jobs are going to be affected by this heat. And this is a perfect time. And this is a commercial break. But it's a perfect time to get your friends and family on the Rebound product.
Yeah, I like Rebound. Rebound is so good.
Because if they're out there sweating, they're going to need to replenish all those electrolytes that are in the Rebound, plus all the other nutrients that are in it. Because when you sweat, you don't just sweat out sodium and chloride. You just don't sweat out Gatorade. You're sweating out all 60 of those minerals, as well as some of the other nutrients that you need. So this is the time of the year that we really need to replenish our bodies with those electrolytes. I mean, the complete source of it, not just those 4 or 5 that's in those sports drinks. And we've got this available in 3 very convenient forms. You have the cans. This is wonderful. You put a case of these on ice in a cooler. This is the most delicious thing in the world to use when you're out there in the heat every day. We also have a canister version of it. So if you got the guys that are filling up those big, 2, 3, 5 gallon containers of water to take out there with the ice in it, this is a perfect way for them to be able to add some nutrients into that replenishment. And then it also comes in, I don't have it in front of me, but comes in little sticks like this.
Yes.
This is another product, but this is really convenient because you can put this in a bottle of water, have a case of bottled waters in your cooler, and keep these along with you.
Comes 30 of those sticks in a box.
Yep. The most economical way, of course, is the canister, but this is the time of year when you need to share that with everybody. So what? It's only a couple dollars in commissions for you. But it's customers. You're getting customers introduced to Dr. Wallach's products. And that's the big thing here is you want to get as many customers introduced.
And pharmacist Keith, when you become a preferred customer and or a associate, which is kind of our salespeople, you get the wholesale prices, both as a customer and an associate. And if you get an auto ship, I will pay the shipping. Now, I know about the prices because I have to buy my own products. So, I set it up purposely, and people would say, well, yeah, you take so many Wallach because you get them for free. No, I have to pay for them like everybody else. I set it up that way to answer to that question. Okay. I'm telling people that I do this because it works. Okay. And I have to pay the same exact rate you pay. And of course, I don't have to worry about auto ship because I just live down the street from Longevity. So we go there once a week to, we put in an order in advance. They're all boxed up waiting for us. We go pick it up and so forth. So we don't have to pay shipping. But I do take the sticks with me on the road. And I do take the pills, tablets, and capsules with me on the road. And so it's one of those things. In fact, if I'm going to be someplace, say for a week or something like that, I'll send a whole set in advance. Okay, just waiting for me there, so I don't have to carry it with me on the airplane or on the bus or whatever, or the train. And so that way I save on weight, fees, and all that kind of stuff. And it's there waiting for me. And again, I have to pay for it. And I'm on auto ship. I just have to change the address once in a while where it goes. And so I don't have to pay the shipping because I either pick it up or have it shipped in advance to where I'm going to be in a week or so.
And I can attest to that. Dr. Wallach and I traveled a lot, and he would have his shipments sent to the hotel in advance, and it would be there waiting for him. And I can attest to the fact that he does take all these nutrients every single day. He's got so much in that little bottle of water that the bottle of water looks like mud. He's got so much he's put in it. I can't take that concentrated myself. I have to spread it out, bigger bottle. In fact, this is a combination of the ACT body trim, the collagen peptides, the colloidal minerals, and the Beyond Osteo Effects liquid. And that's my morning drink every day. I take the other stuff too, but this is the morning drink I carry around with me all morning. And because I put that ACT body trim in there, I don't snack. You know, I'm able to keep the weight down. I can tell you right now, I'm not following any weight program at all, but my weight has not changed. And I think that's one of the big things there, because I just don't snack. I don't want to eat anything throughout the day. I'm getting all those minerals. I have that ACT body trim in there, which has some herbs in it to help curb your appetite. And that's my regimen. Let's get on to some questions, Dr. Wall.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
Let's do it.
If you're on Zoom, go ahead and say who you are and where you're calling from.
Good morning. It's Cherie. Good morning, Dr. Wallach and Pharmacist Keith and everyone.
Hi.
Hey, I spoke to you. I had surgery to have some hardware removed out of my foot on May 26th. And after the surgery, I was informed that one of the screws from the hardware was laying on a nerve in my foot. I had the sutures taken out last Tuesday, but I've been experiencing some stabbing pain around the surgery site and in the ball of my foot. And I'm having a lot of pain in my big toe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the 90 and I'm taking MSN. Are there any recommendations for me?
And I can talk about that too, because when I crushed my leg and they put all that hardware in there, apparently I was allergic to the hardware, so because they had to take it all back out. But I still have pain to this day occasionally where those screws were in there. And most likely, if that screw was touching your nerve, it's causing damage to the myelin sheath of the nerve. So, Dr. Wallach, can you address that for us?
Well, yeah, you need to be eating. How much do you weigh, Cherie?
190.
Okay, I want you to have 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks. I want you to rebuild the myelin, that myelin sheath on your nerves. Okay, so that myelin sheath is about, depending on where it's at, is anywhere from 25 to 80% cholesterol. So you need that cholesterol from the eggs to rebuild that myelin sheath in their foot, in your toes. Okay. Then you need your 90 essential nutrients, of course. And also, we have the Soothe from our Hemp FX division you can apply to those areas, and you'll get about 3 to 4 hours of pain relief. You might want to put that on before bedtime. And there's no THC in it, so it's legal in all states. And then also the CM cream, they'll give you about 2 hours of pain relief. And so you might want to use that during the day. It's a little more economical than the Hemp FX Soothe.
And add some trauma oil to it.
Yeah, there you go. The trauma oil, a couple of drops of the trauma oil cannot hurt. And so you can deal with the pain, but I want you to rebuild the myelin in the nerves. Got to rebuild the nerves everywhere, your brain, your spinal cord. Let me ask you a weird question. How many times a night do you get up to urinate?
Maybe once, not a whole lot. A lot. I drink a lot of water, but I don't get up a lot.
Okay, but maybe once a night. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not supposed to get up anytime at night to urinate. You're supposed to go to bed, urinate, go to bed, wake up in the morning, urinate, and that's cool. Okay. I get people, they urinate 3 times a night, 5 times a night, 9 times a night, 10 times a night. That's because they've lost the myelin sheath in the nerves to control the bladder. It's not a prostate problem, because 4 times as many women have the problem as men. So it's the nerves where they've lost the myelin sheath because they've been so good about eliminating cholesterol that they don't have any myelin sheaths left. And so that's where the problem lies. Women have 4 times the rate of osteoporosis of the skull and osteoporosis all over their body. Women have 3 times the rate of MS, multiple sclerosis, as men because of their dietary habits. And of course, it's not a gender thing, it's a dietary habit thing. So eat those eggs, not fried. They have to be soft scrambled, soft. I have mine soft scrambled in butter. I can
wonderful that way.
Yeah, I can pour my eggs off the plate into a cup like malted milk. Okay, that's the way you want to have them, because you want that cholesterol to be in good shape. And cholesterol will prevent an enormous amount of diseases, Alzheimer's disease, MS, and all kinds of peripheral neuropathies. Cholesterol is an essential nutrient. When they came out with that statin drug, they created a whole new disease in 1960 called Alzheimer's disease. Dementias occurred before 1960, but not Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease only came along after 1960 when they had statin drugs because doctors mistakenly believed that the plaque in the arteries is due to cholesterol. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Because of all this, the doctors call everything that looks, smells, or tastes like Alzheimer's disease. I don't care, if you just have ringing in the ears, they call it Alzheimer's disease because Alzheimer's disease pays a lot of money. It's supposed to be, for the United States alone right now, we're paying each year just to pay for treatment of symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, $305 billion. And it's supposed to get up by the end of next year to $1 trillion. That's just to treat the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. And so every disease that has to do with the brain, they're calling Alzheimer's disease now because the insurance companies pay so much money for those treatments.
And those treatments, none of them work.
Yeah.
They're all just cutting red warning lights to symptoms. They're treating symptoms. Drugs are being developed to prolong, your cognitive ability. It's not fixing the cognitive ability. It's just prolonging it, slowing down the progression of the disease. So none of it is designed to cure the disease itself. And
no,
until they look for the nutritional side of it, they're not going to cure the disease because that's not what's causing it.
Well, Pharmacist Keith, what they do is they turn the American population into a dairy herd.
Yeah. I want to talk about something else you just mentioned about the bladder issues, incontinence. There's 3 things that cause the incontinence, but all 3 of them are nutritionally related. You either have the muscles are weakened, and you're not able to control the bladder because the muscles are weakened. You have nerve damage, like Dr. White was talking about, with the myelin sheath and the for the nerves that go to the bladder.
Yep.
Or you have degenerative disc disease, which is pinching the nerve that's controlling the bladder. And that degenerative disc disease, that's the one that gets me the most that doctors ignore because irregular heartbeat, a lot of times, my own personal opinion, probably most of the time, those irregular heartbeats, the arrhythmias, are being caused by a nerve being pinched in the back. If the doctor should be asking about your back. And if the doctors aren't asking about your back and are treating arrhythmias, then they're not looking at the whole picture. So
yeah, and
the bladder issues, all 3 of those, everything I just mentioned are all the same nutritional protocols, are all the same nutritional deficiencies. They just manifest in a different way.
That's correct. You get an A+. And of course, there's this. Let's see here, the singer.
I wanted to bring that up. Justin Bieber. He has some type of problem with the face that's drooping. I saw him in an interview with one eye couldn't even focus right. My aunt, my wife's aunt went through the same thing. Hers was actually diagnosed as Bell's palsy when half her face was in pain and the muscles were just weak. So I did want to bring that up today, Dr. White, because that is something in the news and it's a very common problem, even though they're saying it's rare.
Okay, well, they're calling it Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, and they're saying it's caused by a virus. But when you look at him straight on, just the right side of his face is drooping. His right side of his lips, his right eye, and it's classic Bell's palsy. I've seen that 1,000 times every month. Okay, Bell's palsy, that's an easy one. And so, but try to get to him. He's got so many people protecting him. It's just like Bruce Willis. He has all his memory problems. They're saying it's Alzheimer's disease. The odds are it's actually osteoporosis of the skull or MS or both. Okay. And you can't get to him because you got this circle of people defending him. So you can't get any information to him or ask him any questions. But Ramsay-Hunt syndrome is what they're calling it for Justin Bieber. Bieber, B-I-E-B-E-R. Yeah, Bieber. Yep. And they're saying it's caused by a drone virus. Okay.
And maybe they're right. Maybe it was a virus involved at some point, but the virus is involved because of nutritional deficiencies. One way or another, there's nutritional deficiency behind it. The body not being able to recover from that viral attack is nutritional deficiencies. So, maybe there is some component to it, maybe not, but it's all still the same nutritional deficiencies are involved in these diseases. And, if you don't have the nutrients there for your body to do what it's supposed to be, these diseases, these opportunistic infections, whatever it is, will cause problems. So we still have the same answer here. It's still the same nutrition to repair the problem.
Yep. Your car needs oil, not dirt from Texas.
Well, it's like my car is a Cadillac. I have to have a very specific oil for that car. If I don't put that very specific oil in that car, the engine may not run properly. And it's the same thing in our body. Our body needs very specific nutrients. And if we don't have those nutrients in our body, it'll run for a while. My Cadillac will run for a while on the lesser grade oil. It's going to run for a while, but eventually it's going to break down. And if your body doesn't have all of those 90 essential nutrients, it's going to run for a while because the body's good at substituting things. But eventually it's going to get to the point where it can't substitute anymore and it starts deteriorating and starts breaking down.
You are correct.
We got time for probably another question.
Yeah, we got time for one more.
We got a lot of people on today, a lot more than usual. Don't be shy. If you have a question, I'm sure it's a question others have thought of before. Latima, go ahead.
Yes, I my friend that's on the line has a question. Bashan, just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, okay, how you doing today?
Bashan, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Oh, all right, down in the Bayou country.
Yes. Okay, I have a problem with the MONO, and that was high.
What was it again?
Yeah, I didn't get that. There's too much buzzing.
Oh, okay. For my red blood cells, MONO.
That's mono.
Yes.
Nucleosis.
Is it mononucleosis?
Yes, it's dealing with the red blood cells.
Okay. Are you anemic?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
31.
I'm sorry, 39?
31.
No, 31. Yes, 31.
41. Okay.
31.
No, 31.
31.
31. Okay. Do you have any other issues? High blood pressure?
No, then my HGB was low,
Okay, that's your hemoglobin.
and then my MCHC was low.
CHC.
That's the diameter of the red blood cells.
Mean corpuscle hemoglobin
Yeah.
concentration. So it
Yeah.
still has to do with hemoglobin being low.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then my
Okay.
RDW was high.
That's your red blood cells.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you have any white, gray, or silver hair?
Huh?
Do you have any white, gray, or silver hair?
No.
Okay. Let's see here. Do you have any ringing in your ears, any buzzing or tinnitus or anything like that in your ears?
No.
Okay. Do you have any regular heartbeat?
I was once before, but not anymore.
Okay. Did they give it a name like AFib or tachycardia or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't diagnosed with nothing.
Okay. What about your bowels? Do you have irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, constipation, diarrhea, anything like that?
No. Constipation, I was at first, but now I'm back on regular.
Okay.
bowel
How much
syndrome.
you weigh? What's your body weight?
Okay, I weigh 220, and I'm 5'3".
I'm sorry, 5 what?
5'3".
5'3". Well, 5'3", I'd like to see you weigh 110, so you're 110 pounds overweight. You're double your weight you should be. And so what I want you to do is get one of our keto shakes per day. One keto shake per day. It's a meal replacer. It's not to add to a meal. It's a meal replacer. It doesn't have to be the same meal. You can get strawberry or chocolate, and you'll lose a half a pound to 2 pounds a day. So you're going to look at realistically anywhere from 3 to 6 months, you'll lose the weight that you need to lose. Okay. You have to stay on this diet forever. It's 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month, a full dose of everything twice a day. When you get down to 110 pounds, you'll be able to cut it down to 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month. But then you'll have to get an extra bottle of selenium with 5 cofactors in it. You also need to get, you have anything going on in your joints, any hips or knees or shoulders or back stuff?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, my back be hurting sometimes, and my
Okay.
and my feet.
Okay. Yeah, it's called peripheral neuropathies. Okay. So I want you to take 2 bottles a month of our MSM. So you can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, or dinner time, and it'll rebuild disc between a vertebrae, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue. It'll rebuild the connective tissue in your skin. It'll rebuild the connective tissue in your bone marrow, so you can build more red blood cells. You also need to take our collagen peptides, a scoop of that in your breakfast drink and a scoop of that in your evening drink. That'll help you rebuild your bone marrow so you can make red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, antibodies, all that kind of stuff, antihistamines. So you need that stuff for your bone marrow because you have a bone marrow issue with low hemoglobin. And you're going to lose the weight with that keto shake, 1 per day. And again, that's a meal replacer. It's not an add-on. You can throw in 1 or 2 of our rebound sports drinks with that when you have that keto shake. Okay, you can drink those at that same meal. And so let's go there. You're going to have a great story. And there's so many people, they go to the doctor once a month or once every 2 months to get an iron shot and a B12 shot, and they really don't get much benefit because they're not getting all the other raw materials they need for the bone marrow to work properly to convert that iron and B12 into hemoglobin. But when you do all this stuff we just suggested, you will make it happen. Plus, you'll lose the weight. Okay.
Another question I have, doctor, too, is what about the monthly cycle? Because she's at the age where she's
31, you could still be cycling. Yeah. So are you still cycling?
Well, yes, it was a regular. So it wasn't coming like every month. I had to go get some Provera from the doctor they prescribed me with.
Yeah, so you might want to throw in the Xerafem, XERA-Fem. You can go ahead and take 3 of those twice a day. It'll be 2 bottles a month. And that will give your ovaries what they need along with the eggs.
Okay, could you spell that again?
Xerafem, XERA-FEM. That's one of our great products for ladies.
Yeah, and the monthly cycle can be contributing also to the low hemoglobin. Okay, so we are at the top of the hour. So thank you very much for your questions. I know there was a little bit of technical difficulty at the very beginning of this program on Facebook side. So I will repost the entire program here shortly so those folks over on Facebook can hear it from the very beginning. I apologize for that technical issue, but that's the way things go sometimes. But I want to thank Dr. Wallach for everything that he does. He has been a consummate professional, sometimes he's very, he'll say what he wants to say. He'll say it like it is. He has very strong opinion. That's the word I'm looking for. He has very strong opinions, but it's because the people don't listen. I mean, quite frankly, I've got family and friends that their doctors know more than I do. Their doctors know more than Dr. Wallach, who has 32,000 autopsies under his belt, and they probably have never done an autopsy once in their life. Autopsies that were specifically looking at disease, which they haven't been doing, but yet they know their doctor is the God, and they treat him like a God, and they're not going to listen to anything else I have to say. And Dr. Wallach is very adamant when he comes to this. I'm very adamant. You know, me and Dr. Wallach don't agree 100% on everything, and that's the way it should be. It's a science, and there's a lot of gray area in science. But I do believe that the nutrition is at the core of every disease that we get out there. I don't care what the disease is. Nutrition is somewhere, if you trace it back far enough, a deficiency is somewhere at the root of the disease. And we can use pharmaceutical drugs to manage the disease, but at the same time we're using those pharmaceutical drugs, we need to be making sure we get all the building blocks that this body needs to repair itself, because those drugs are not fixing anything. They're prolonging the problem. Eventually, it's going to break down. You're going to have a major catastrophe. You're going to end up in the hospital. You're going to end up in a nursing home on 25 different medications and not even know who the heck you are. Eventually, that's going to happen unless you take care of it. Don't rely on medicine 100%. It has its role, but it's not the end all. Nutritional deficiencies are behind it. We have to take personal responsibility. And in this day and age, nobody wants to take personal responsibility for anything. You know, people are offended over whatever anybody has to say. And I'm sure, in fact, I know me and Dr. White have offended people on this program when we talked about the fact that we both been vaccinated for COVID. That was so offensive to people. But, you know, we have our science-based reasons why we are doing it. And we do it based on the science that we are able to research ourselves, not just all the funny stuff that people post on the internet they call themselves a doctor, but they might be a doctor in tiddlywinks. You don't know what their doctorate is in. Just because you call yourself a doctor on Facebook doesn't mean that you're a doctor in neurology or a doctor in immunology or whatever it is. I'm not a doctor in those things, but I do the research that I can. I try to find out what I can from the real medical professionals. I compare what the real medical professionals say to what the folks on the nutrition side of the story say. And that's where I get my informed decision. It's an informed decision. It's not just me out there trying to sell a product or something. It's an informed decision. I came to this company because the products were what they say they are. And because I knew as a pharmacist, you need all these 90 essential nutrients. I mean, folks, long before I joined Dr. Wallach, I was using the protocols that he said with my patients in my retail community pharmacies. I was doing the best I could with the supplements that we had on our shelves. So this is something I followed long before joining Dr. Wallach. It's just that the products that the Dr. Wallach's company has formulated are so superior to everything else. I mean, the Healthy Start Pack, I don't know what the price today is, $125, something like that. If I were to go into a health food store and try to buy everything that's in that Beyond Tangy Tangerine, that OsteoFX liquid, and those omega fatty acids, if I tried to buy everything that's in those products in a health food store today, it would cost me, I guarantee you, over $700 a month to get those. And that's where I was coming from as a pharmacist. That's the products I was recommending as a pharmacist before I joined Dr. Wallach. So I'm adamant about this. All these diseases we suffer from, all those diseases that my customers that I saw month after month, that were just getting worse and worse and worse. All those diseases they were suffering from were nutritional deficiency diseases. Maybe 10% of the customers would listen to me. The other 90% wouldn't. And I'm a medical professional with my white coat on behind that counter, filling their prescriptions. So I understand how difficult it is for folks to listen to you. But that's why me and Dr. Wallach are here. You don't have to be the professional. You can send those folks to us and we can get the information. Send them to the videos that we produce that are on the Facebook page, facebook.com/givedoc90days. Use this material. It's there for your use for free. I'm not charging anybody anything for it. And Dr. Wallach, same thing. He's on the radio twice a day, Monday through Friday. I'm sure after 30 years now, Dr. Wallach?
32 years.
I'm sure after 32 years, he would rather be doing anything else than spending 2 hours on the radio every single day of his life. But he does it because he cares and because he wants this message to get out there. That's the same reason why I do this. I have people all the time asking me, why am I wasting my time on a Monday morning doing this? That's why I do it. It's my ability, my way of giving back to the community. And if people listen, great. If they don't listen, great. If they don't buy a single thing from me, great. I don't care. I got the message out there. And that's what I want to say about that. So Dr. Mike, you are on the radio twice a day. How do people get hold of you on the radio?
And it's toll free. Okay, it's toll free from noon to 1 Pacific time. It's Dead Doctors Don't Lie. The toll-free number is 1-888-379-2552. Again, that's toll-free, 1-888-379-2552. And then from 1 to 2 Pacific time, Monday through Friday, toll-free, 1-877-912-7529. 1-877 912-7529. And again, that's 1 to 2 Pacific time, Monday through Friday. And I've been doing this for 32 years now. And literally, I'm in 80 countries. I do Zooms all over the world, to Asia, the Philippines, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. And of course, we're doing a Zoom now.
And this Zoom is on Facebook, so it's going worldwide. I have people from Australia, Canada, and the Caribbean islands all the time on this Zoom.
There you go. And we can't thank you enough. We appreciate you and respect you for all of your interests and opinions, because you're a professional. And so, you're looking at it from a professional, trained person's viewpoint, as opposed to just, as you say, garbage. And I do have to run now.
You go ahead, Dr. Wallach. I'll finish up with everybody.
Okay. God bless you, sir.
God bless you. So everybody, Dead Doctors Don't Lie Radio is on weekdays, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 888-379-2552. That's 888-379-2552. Also, you can get the archives of that radio program by going to radio.givedoc90days.com. That's radio.givedoc90days.com. Also, Let's Play Doctor is weekdays, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 877-912-7529, 877-912-7529. And we have Dr. Wallach's books, CDs, DVDs, all the materials that he has available can be found at drjwallach.com. That's drjwallach.com. Some of his books are available on Amazon. The price is the same, whether you buy it from Amazon or buy it directly from Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach does not make any income from the sale of the nutrition products that he recommends. His sole income comes from the sale of his books, DVDs, and CDs. So I encourage you, don't give Amazon part of that money. Go straight to Dr. Wallach and order from Dr. Wallach's store. So Dr. Wallach earns the full amount on the sale of those books and CDs and DVDs. Again, you can go to drjwallach, that's WALLACH.com, drjwallach.com. Also, I've got 2 free gifts for you for joining us on this program. There is an article the doctor wrote many years ago called Why So Many Young Athletes Die. That article is a great article for you to download to your computer, add your contact information to it, print that out, and then share it with everybody you know that has any kind of sport or occupation where they're sweating a lot, where they're going to be out in this heat and humidity that we're probably 90% of the country is going to be facing for the next few weeks. I have a feeling it's going to be a very bad summer, maybe to the point of near Dust Bowl era heat. Because the Dust Bowl, the temperatures hit in Kentucky at the height of the Dust Bowl, we hit temperatures of 107. Here it is the beginning of June. We're not even into August yet, and we're already going to have temperatures today right at 100. The heat index is going to be 110 here. So the vast majority of the Central America, all the way from Canada down to the Gulf Coast, is going to have a much hotter summer this year and a lot of sweating. So let's share that article with folks and try to get as many people as you can to utilize the Rebound product. It's a great starter product to introduce folks to Dr. Wallach and his story. Let them try the product, use it, get some results from it, and then take the discussion further from there. Also, another free gift to you is Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Someone should go to jail. Health, Lies, and Medicine. That video is on that website, dddlvideo.com. The link is there. You can share the website with folks. Tell them to click on that link and watch that video. And it's the latest in the Dead Doctors Don't Lie series from Dr. Wallach. It's one of the latest, one of the last health presentations he had recorded before this pandemic hit. So those are both absolutely free. There's no capture page. We don't mine the data. We have no idea. I have no idea whatsoever who visits that website and clicks on those 2 links. And I did that way to as another way of giving service to the community to get this message out. So I encourage you to go over there and take a look at that and get one of those free videos. Okay. The only thing I have left to say in conclusion is this information is copyright by Abell International Marketing, Joseph Keith Abell. It's free for you to share. It's free for you to bring people to watch and listen to. My only thing is I ask you do not copy it, do not download it and edit it and post it somewhere. Again, it is a copyrighted program, and I will go after copyright violators. I'm adamant about that. I've spent a lot of money on the equipment and the software to do these programs, and I'm doing them free for you. They're here for you to use. They're here for you to share as much as you want. Just don't steal my information and try to make it your own. Again, I thank you very much for joining us as always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health and Wellness Hour with Dr. Joe Wallach and pharmacist Keith Abell. If you found value in this episode, be sure to like and share. Also, to be notified when the next episode is posted, click on the subscribe button, then hit that little bell symbol. If you have any questions or comments for Pharmacist Keith or Dr. Wallach, you may send a private email to askpharmacistkeith@live.com or by visiting the Facebook page, Give Doc 90 Days to Better Health, Wellness, and Longevity. To hear more from Dr. Wallach, he has 2 nationally syndicated radio programs daily, Dead Doctors Don't Lie and Let's Play Doctor. Check your local radio listings for details. Also, check out the archives of his past shows at radio.givedoc90days.com. One last thing, if you'd like to join Dr. Wallach's crusade to share his message with others, contact Pharmacist Keith, and he'll teach you how to share the message and create some extra income at the same time. Contact Pharmacist Keith through his email address, keith@prosperityRx.com, or call or text at 502-212-2929. Remember, Keith is still a practicing pharmacist and can't always pick up the phone right away, so leave your name, number, and best time to call, and he'll return your call as soon as possible. Thanks again for tuning in.
Hello. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I know your time's valuable and there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, so I'll keep this as short as I can. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Keith Abell. I'm a licensed pharmacist and I've been an active pharmacist since 1995. I've worked in many practice settings over the years, but there's one area that I'm particularly passionate about, and that's what I want to share with you in this presentation. As a pharmacist, I'm very passionate about health and wellness. My goal is to help folks improve their overall health and well-being, and I probably take a little bit different approach to health and wellness than many of my peers do. Although the body has very complex biological processes involved in the disease process, I believe that our bodies were divinely designed to repair themselves, and given the proper tools, what I call 90 for life, and the proper environment, it can be accomplished. Yes, pharmaceuticals play an important role in human health. However, it's my belief that they should play a temporary role in the relief of symptoms, and our ultimate goal should be to find ways to allow the body's natural, God-given biological processes to take over. That is, to support and promote the body's ability to repair itself. Since I began my studies in pharmacy at the University of Kentucky, I've always been interested in the role nutrition and supplementation can play in disease prevention and improvement. Back in 1994, prior to graduation as a pharmacist, I started one of the first information and e-commerce websites on the internet. I provided free, helpful information on the use of herbs, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and other nutrients for the treatment and management of diseases. I also offered quality products that weren't available locally to meet those needs. Upon graduation, most of my professional continuing education has focused on what Linus Pauling calls orthomolecular nutrition. That's the study of nutrition at the molecular level and how it can be used to alleviate symptoms of disease and improve the quality of life. Now, sometimes around 2004 or 2005, something happened in my practice that's had a profound change on the direction of my career. I had a patient come into my store and ask me a question regarding a nutraceutical that I didn't have the answer to. You see, I had a client come in to me and say that they had heard that fish oil lowered cholesterol and he wanted to know how much he should take. Well, that information wasn't available anywhere in any of my reference books, so I had to tell him that I'd get back with him after I do some research. I did a search of the available medical and scientific literature that was available at the time, and I found an article after article after article on all the great things that omega-3 fish oil did. You know, reduced blood pressure, improved cholesterol control, it improved control of diabetes, reduced inflammation and arthritis, it raised the good cholesterol, lowered the bad cholesterol. Study after study showing some positive impacts from omega-3s. Then I came across an article from one of the leading medical journals that said fish oil did nothing. Well, back in pharmacy school, I had a professor that said that when you do a scientific search in the literature and you come across many articles that had one result and then one article that had the opposite result, that we needed to ask three questions. Who funded the research? What did they stand to gain or lose from the results? And what did they do differently to get the results that they got? So I took a closer look at that single article that said fish oil did nothing, and I found that it was funded by one of the statin drug manufacturers. So that made it easy to determine what they would stand to gain or lose. If the results showed that it helped control cholesterol, then they would stand to lose billions of dollars in drug sales. So the next question was to look at what it was that they did different to get the results that they got. So then I looked at all the other studies that showed positive results, and in every single case, in all those other studies, they gave the participants anywhere from 6 grams to even 9 grams of omega-3 fatty acids per day. Then I looked at the statin company study. They only gave the study participants 1 gram of omega-3 per day. They knew it would fail before the research even started. This opened my eyes. Since that day, every time another study came out that said some nutraceutical did nothing, I would do a search of the literature, and in every single case, the negative study was funded by some big pharmaceutical company, and in every single case, they gave the patient a dose that was far below what the other research showed was effective. That's what we called subtherapeutic dose. Or they gave a dosage form that wasn't absorbed properly, or they gave a chemical version of the nutraceutical that wasn't the form that the body could utilize. You see, big pharma can't patent something that occurs in nature already, so they couldn't profit from positive outcomes. Eventually, big pharma couldn't ignore the evidence on omega-3 fish oils, so they came up with a synthetic form of it to take along with their statin drugs to gain better control of cholesterol and triglycerides. The thing is, even in the synthetic form, they say that it doesn't work alone. It had to be taken with their drug. It doesn't work because, once again, they still only tested it at 4 grams per day. Just to illustrate this one more time, I came across a recent article that said St. John's wort. St. John's wort's a medical herb that's been used for centuries for the treatment of depression. In fact, in Europe, it's the first-line treatment before they ever prescribe Prozac or any other prescription medications. Anyway, the article said that St. John's wort didn't work. So I pulled the article, and in the study, they gave the St. John's wort for 7 days and declared that it failed to work. Now, why is this significant? St. John's wort, just like the prescription drugs Prozac, takes time to accumulate in the body in order to become effective. According to the Natural Medicine's comprehensive database, St. John's wort needs to be given for 6 to 8 weeks to produce the desired outcome. Once again, Big Pharma produced a study with misleading information, then they published it in a national journal, knowing good and well that very few health professionals would ever pull the article out and look at what they did to get their results. By the way, that client that mentioned earlier that asked me how much fish oil to take, I had him purchase some high-quality omega-3 fatty acids and instructed him to take 3 capsules twice a day. That's 6,000 milligrams a day. Within the first month when he came in to buy another bottle, he told me that his joint aches had gone away. Some months later, he told me that his doctor had taken him off his statin medications. His cholesterol and triglyceride levels were in control, and his doctor even reduced the dose of diabetic medications that he'd been taking because he had gained better control of his blood sugar. This incident really opened my eyes, and over the next decade, I've immersed myself in learning everything I can about nutrition and supplementation and the role that it plays in our overall health and well-being. In 2007, I came across the research of a doctor that was a veterinarian, a pathologist, a biomedical researcher, and a physician, Dr. Wallach. That he'd been using veterinary nutritional concepts, that is, using nutritional supplements to prevent and reverse diseases in animals. He had been using these concepts on his human patients and had seen amazing results. I started using those concepts with my clients, using the formulations that were available to me in my store, and slowly but surely I began seeing the same results in my clients that he had seen. That's when I decided to try his product line for myself and for my family. My mother-in-law had, at that time, just had her second bypass surgery. Blood thinners and all the medications that she was taking were causing her to have a really poor quality of life. She always felt run down with no energy and was embarrassed about all the bruising that the blood thinners was causing on her arms. I tracked Dr. Wallach down and I spoke with him on the phone. I put my mother-in-law on Dr. Wallach's 90 for Life program for heart and circulation health. And with the help of her general practitioner, I weaned her off the blood thinners first. Then one by one, all the other medications. Now, a decade later, she still does not take any prescription medications for her heart or her circulation. She goes to her cardiologist once each year, has the ultrasounds done of her arteries, and every year since she started taking Dr. Wallach's products, her cardiologist tells her that she has no further blockage. He writes her yearly prescriptions for what he thinks she's still taking and tells her there's no need to change any of her medications to keep doing what she's been doing. She comes home, throws the prescriptions in the garbage, and continues, as her cardiologist told her, to keep doing what she's been doing. She continues to follow Dr. Wallach's recommendations and continues to take his products. She hasn't told the cardiologist about Dr. Wallach because she wants him to continue to monitor things on a yearly basis, and she's afraid that if she really let him know what she was doing, he wouldn't let her come back to his practice. Well, in 2013, I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Wallach in person and to work side by side with him throughout that year. About once a month, I'd travel with him all over the country as he did his health lectures, and eventually doing some of the lectures myself. I'd meet the folks that he had helped, that had been helped with his 90 for Life program, and were so grateful for what Dr. Wallach had done for them. With Dr. Wallach's guidance, I began working with folks that I met along the way, educating them on the necessity of supplementing with the body with all the 90 essential nutrients that the body needs to support and promote its natural process of repair. I started those folks on Dr. Wallach's nutritional products based on their individual needs. And in most cases, within 90 days or less, I began seeing those folks have similar results to the results that my mother-in-law had. And that is precisely why I'm sharing this information with you. I want to help as many folks as possible to improve their health, and where possible, get off the dangerous pharmaceuticals that they're currently taking. I mentioned that Dr. Wallach's a veterinarian and then became a physician, but I haven't told you the entire story. He graduated from the University of Missouri with a degree in soil science and Doctor of Veterinary Science. From there, he began working with Marlin Perkins of the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom on saving endangered species of animals, both in Africa and then back here in the United States at various zoos. From there, he worked on a decade-long project with the National Institutes of Health as a pathologist, where he completed thousands of comparative autopsies and hundreds of thousands of blood chemistries from hundreds of species of animals and human beings. From that research, his findings have been published more than 70 times in scientific and medical journals. He compiled all that research together and co-authored a book, The Diseases of Exotic Animals, that's currently in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure. He then returned to school to become a naturopathic doctor, so he can then apply his veterinary concepts in his human patients. He's been recognized with various prestigious awards, including one most recently at the United Nations for his life's work. And I'm so blessed to count him as a friend and colleague. Veterinary research has cured over 900 diseases in animals that we still suffer from. The veterinary industry and Dr. Wallach's research has shown that diseases like arthritis and diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and many, many more are diseases of nutritional deficiencies. If they were traced back, in most cases we can find a deficiency in some mineral, vitamin, amino acid, or other nutritional compound. Likewise, the veterinary industry has learned that if they supplement the animal feed with all the nutrition the animal needs, they can actually increase a healthy life expectancy of the animals. In the human model of medicine, when something goes wrong, the first inclination is to prescribe a medication. Medications, with the exception of the anti-infective category, don't heal anything. They just treat symptoms. I want you to think about this. You're driving down the interstate in your car and the check engine light comes on. Do you ignore it? Or do you check to see what's wrong and get it fixed? If you cut the wire going to that light and ignore the light, what would eventually happen? The car's going to break down, possibly, depending on what's wrong, possibly a catastrophic failure. Well, that's exactly what happens when you get a prescription. You're cutting the wire to the red warning light, the symptom of the disease that you're experiencing in the body. The body is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that something's wrong. When you give a prescription, the drug, the medication, is designed to affect some biological process in the body in order to get the response that the doctor wants. In effect, ignoring the red warning light and not fixing what's really wrong. Dr. Wallach, from those thousands of autopsies in his veterinary research, discovered that nutritional deficiencies are at the root cause to all the ailments that we still suffer from. He discovered that if you give the body all 90 essential nutrients, then you're supplying the body with the raw materials that it needs to support and promote the body's natural ability to repair itself. And it's precisely this that has me so excited. Why is it that the United States spends more money on health care than everyone else in the world combined? Spending more money on health care than anyone else in the world has not paid off. The United States is 60th in life expectancy. That means 59 other countries have a longer life expectancy than we do. We're 41st in infant mortality, and only 1 in 10,000 Americans live to be 100. How can this be? It's because we're trying to win the battle of good health with medications instead of optimal nutrition. We're cutting the red warning light and ignoring what's at the root cause of the disease. Based on Dr. Wallach's decades of research, he's found that your body needs at least 90 essential nutrients to function at its best. These nutrients include 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids. The foundation of nutritional health is what he calls 90 for life. Unfortunately, all these nutrients are no longer found in our food because of decades of farming practices that have left our soils depleted of these nutrients, combined with the heavy processing in the food manufacturing process, the addition of dangerous synthetic chemicals and flavorings and preservatives on our food doesn't contain the nutrients that it once did. So your first step to optimizing health is to provide your body with all 90 essential nutrients, the core nutrition needed. While the 90 essential nutrients are necessary to provide a powerful base for sustained health, ultimate wellness is further supported and customized with additional nutrients depending on your personal needs. For example, if you're suffering from joint pain, there's a 90 for Life program specifically formulated for bone and joint health. There's formulations to support healthy blood sugar, cardiovascular support. If you're active in sports or if you got a job that causes you to sweat all the time, then he designed an athletic support program for you. And then there's many more. From personal and professional experience, I know that by following Dr. Wallach's recommendations, I can help folks get better control of their blood sugar, to improve their bone and joint health, to gain control of their blood pressure, and many, many more improvements in their health and overall well-being. Again, that's precisely why I'm sharing this information with you. I want to help as many folks as I possibly can to improve their health, and where possible to help them even reduce or even eliminate the need for the dangerous pharmaceuticals that they've been taking. We're looking for a few key people to work with me to help get this information out there. I'm looking for some folks that have leadership qualities, that can follow and teach a simple system, folks that want to create an additional income that continues to come in month after month, and possibly even replace their current income. And if you're interested in learning more about getting healthy or the income opportunity, then just complete the information on this website and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. I hate spam as much as you guys do, so I will not rent or sell the information to anyone else. It's just used by me to help get that information out to you. Thanks again for watching this video.